In 1993, I experienced one of the greatest movie-going moments of my entire life.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
Yeah, Jurassic Park. I was only 7 years old when Jurassic Park changed the cinematic landscape. I had never seen anything like it before, and it scared the hell out of me. I still remember the car ride home, staring up at the moon, convinced the craters were turning into the T-Rex skeleton from the poster. And I'm serious, I still remember that. But despite how terrified I was captivated. From that moment on, I was obsessed. Everything, and I mean everything I owned, was Jurassic Park. Pajamas, bed sheets, toys, video games. If it had dinosaurs on it, I had it. Then a couple years later, I saw this mysterious teaser trailer.
From screenwriters John Patrick Shanley and Michael Crichton, the best-selling author of Jurassic Park.
Wait a second, the author of Jurassic Park? You just had to mention Jurassic Park and my ears would twitch. Also, this was the first time I had ever heard his name said out loud. Before this, I was calling him Michael Crichton. Yeah, sorry, Mike.
Congo, where you are the endangered species.
From that moment, I was hooked. I mean, Congo just sounds so cool, and this teaser looked absolutely terrifying. I had no idea what it was about, but I was convinced it was going to be even scarier than Jurassic Park.
Amy wants green drop drink.
No.
Amy wants green drop drink.
And then I saw it. So what was this thing? Congo was directed by Frank Marshall, a guy who you might know more for producing Indiana Jones and Back to the Future, more so than directing. Now his first directing gig was Arachnophobia, and let me tell you, Arachnophobia was one of my absolute favorite movies as a kid. Creepy, funny, and tense, it's a perfect mix. I was obsessed with that movie too, so when I found out this same guy was doing Congo, in my head that was 2 for 2. I mean, creepy jungle? Check. Creatures that want to kill you? Double check. Except this time, instead of hundreds of deadly spiders, we've got killer gorillas. This was gonna be epic. The screenplay was written by John Patrick Shanley, and of course it's based on Michael Crichton's 1980 novel. Hollywood had been trying to adapt it since the early 80s, but there was one big problem: realistic gorillas. This was way before Jurassic Park made digital creatures believable, so they turned to Stan Winston Studios for good old-fashioned suits and animatronics. So who's actually in this thing? Well, it's got a pretty good cast. First up, my childhood hero, Ernie Hudson. Well, one of them anyways. I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. In fact, it's my favorite movie of all time. And that's no secret on this channel. Seeing Winston Zeddemore leading an expedition into the jungle, I was already sold. And in Congo, he plays Captain Monroe Kelly, a suave, cigar-chomping, possibly coolest man alive. Honestly, he is the best part of this movie. His character in the novel is actually a white man, so they threw in a little line to explain the change.
Monroe Kelly, I'm your great white hunter for this trip, though I happen to be black.
I don't know why this line was thrown in, since I can guarantee that very few people watching the movie had actually read the book. Ernie Hudson himself has actually said that this role in Congo is actually the favorite of his career, which kinda makes sense. It gave him a lot more to do than in Ghostbusters. I mean, Winston might be the more iconic character, but let's be honest, he didn't exactly get a ton of screen time in the original movies.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Then you've got Laura Linney as the laser-wielding communications expert, whose main goal is to find her missing ex-fiancé. Dylan Walsh is the gorilla scientist and Amy's parent, who's trying to bring her back home. And Tim Curry doing whatever this accent is supposed to be.
I will pay for Amy to go home.
He plays Herkimer Homolka, a man searching for King Solomon's diamond mines, which, yes, is exactly as cartoony as it sounds. Actually, Tim Curry's character comes off as very cartoonish throughout, and almost feels like he's playing a character from a parody movie like Airplane. Congo is one of those ensembles where half the cast feels like they're in Indiana Jones, and the other half like they're in a Saturday morning cartoon.
Ugly gorillas, ugly, go away.
The film opens with a song called The Spirit of Africa. Now, as a kid, I had no idea what was being said in this song, but I would still try and sing along by just making up gibberish. I didn't even say real words, I just made shit up. Alright, so there's an expedition going into the jungle led by Bruce Campbell. Now, I don't know why you have Bruce Campbell in your movie if he's not one of your main characters. Look, it's only acceptable to have him cameo in your movie if your name is Sam Raimi.
A human spider, that's it? That's the best you got?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
If your name isn't Sam Raimi, then he needs to be in the entire movie. As a kid though, I didn't know who he was. I just knew I recognized him from shows like Hercules and Xena. You know what's annoying too? He's not even part of the top cast. You've got Bruce Campbell in your movie and you bury him somewhere near the bottom? The disrespect! Anyways, Charles finds a fancy diamond that creates a laser or something. Now they're apparently looking for special pure diamonds for satellite communications, but why does it become a high-powered laser? Charles is brought to another area by one of his co-workers, and oh my god, is that an eyeball? Now don't worry, Bruce will be back. Kinda. Charles' father, who owns the company, is all excited for this newfound flawless diamond, but when they patch back into the expedition, well, it turns out everyone is dead. Now you'd think he might be worried about his son, but he really couldn't give a rat's ass. He seems way more concerned about his business and he really loves to yell a lot. I don't know how this man's heart doesn't give out. Karen is forced to go on an expedition to find this diamond, and I guess maybe check in on Charles. You know, just to make sure he's okay, I guess. This movie brought to you by Taco Bell. No, really. The crossover promotion with Taco Bell is one of the things I really remember from this movie. I had a few of the watches and even a drink cup.
If you're hungry for excitement, get the new Volcano Burrito at Taco Bell. But hurry, at just 99 cents. A taste eruption like this won't be active for long.
Imagine getting a burrito for 99 cents now. I'd be hitting up Taco Bell every single day at those prices. But not just Taco Bell, but Doom too? Can I just go back to the 90s, please? We're then introduced to Amy, a gorilla who can use sign language and paint apparently. Amy is supposed to be the heart of the movie, but even as a kid, I knew that's not a real gorilla. It really does just come off as a person in a suit. She even has a speech-enabled Nintendo Power Glove, which translates her sign language into masterpieces like this.
Amy wants green drop drink.
Why is the gorilla drinking a martini? I don't know which sign language gorilla is worse, Amy or Sophie, the gorilla whose unborn babies were being taken by aliens. And no, I'm not kidding.
They want to know about Sophie's baby.
Can I ask her a question?
Amy starts to freak out, though I can't blame her being locked up in captivity, but it finally dawns on Peter that maybe she wants to go back home? I don't know what would have given all that away. Peter then speaks to his boss so he can get approval and funding for Amy's return. He even tries to sweeten the deal by convincing him that Amy could teach the other gorillas sign language as well. Peter, you idiot. Do you not realize where that will lead?
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Fortunately for all mankind, they can't afford the trip. Unfortunately, swindler extraordinaire Herkimer Homolka, who I'm just gonna call Tim Curry because it's way easier to say, shows up and he's like, I can pay for it. Though, you know, since it's Tim Curry, he's probably not doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
Right.
Tickle me.
Jungle.
Tickle
Home.
me. Tickle me.
Alright, relax, Tickle Me Amy. Wait a minute, Congo came out in 1995, and Tickle Me Elmo came out in 1996. Did Tickle Me Elmo rip off Congo? Karen shows up to the plane and she's like, look, I know I've been emailing you non-stop and calling you day and night, but can I please come with you? Peter says no until a little problem arises when it turns out Tim Curry doesn't actually have the money. Well, not enough money for the fuel anyways, so what did he think was gonna happen? They were just gonna board the plane anyways, even if they couldn't pay for it? This gives Karen the opportunity to pay for everything, so I guess she's coming whether Peter wants her to or not. And then again, why is she drinking a martini? They make their way to Africa and hey, it's Joey Pants. He's in this one and only scene, but he feels like the comedic relief jerk that would be a part of the group and then die 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Whoa! A talking gorilla. I feel the money hairs on the back of my neck going woo woo woo.
There seems to be a little political unrest going on, something about cannibalism, but this is an American movie, so don't worry. If it was Italian, then you'd have a reason to worry. Their guide, Captain Monroe Kelly, pulls up, and he's just so cool. I hope when I grow up I can be as cool as him one day. They all get inside a truck to hide, but is a truck with flaps that a light breeze could open up really the best place to keep hidden? And why is the gorilla now smoking?
Yeah. Okay.
See, that's what I was talking about. They're brought in to see some captain, I don't know. What I do know is this is probably the most famous scene in the entire movie.
Stop eating my sesame cake!
Anytime this movie is brought up, you can be sure this quote will be too. We do learn a little here about Karen, who used to be CIA, and Tim Curry is a broke scammer, which everyone should have seen coming. They butter up the captain with a little bit of cash and are allowed to go back on their adventure.
Oh, he's a Romanian, and he has done a lot of good, but mostly for Mr. Hamilka.
Shut up, you filthy...
Filthy what?
A few things. First, I had some Romanian friends growing up, and no one in their family talked like Tim Curry. And two, I don't think pissing off Ernie Hudson is a great idea. Even now, I feel like he could kick everyone's ass. Alright, so maybe Joey Pants shows up again, but this is it. He's not coming back. They start getting fired upon because they're not supposed to be crossing some border. Imagine going through all of this because a gorilla is sad. You know, I love gorillas too, but I don't know if this is worth it. Before everyone gets blown to pieces, they all decide to jettison the plane. Now, does Peter and his buddy have any idea how parachutes work? I feel like if I were in this situation, I'd probably press the wrong thing and plummet to my death. And how hard must it be to tandem skydive with a gorilla strapped to you? She was knocked out with a drug, but imagine she wakes up mid-fall and starts going apeshit.
Look, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to call this off.
I beg your pardon?
I know when I'm in over my head, I'm not James Bond.
You know, at this point, I think it's a little too late to just turn back. Does he think they'll just let him walk across the border after they were just trying to shoot him down? Karen contacts her boss and he informs her about the spooky gorillas haunting the jungle. The spooky gorillas that we have yet to see. The best part is Amy comes barreling through and destroys the equipment. So her boss thinks he just lost another expedition crew. How fragile is this equipment though if it just shatters into a million pieces because it was lightly knocked over? Don't worry, they didn't just kill a live snake. Again, this is an American movie, not an Italian one. Although they did kill a snake in Friday the 13th. Speaking of snakes, Peter gets a leech on his manhood, which would be the most terrifying thing that could ever happen to me. God, I hate leeches. Oh, and lampreys too, they can burn in hell. Some tribes folks show up, and as a kid, they really creeped me out. I don't know what it was, but the ghost white powder and the ritual they were performing was always so unnerving, especially the guy in the front. Now he was scary. Although I did keep pausing the movie at the topless women trying to get a peek, but you ain't seeing shit on VHS. This also scared the hell out of me. There's just something about someone being so scared that they die. The group then decides to take to the water, though the sound quality takes a noticeable dip. I don't know if this scene was redubbed in ADR, but it sounds like they're in a small room and not in the jungle. It's probably only noticeable with headphones, but it just sounds off.
It's the same symbol. Look at this. The gorilla drew this.
So Tim Curry thinks Amy knows where the city of Zinj is because she painted some pictures of eyes. I mean, that's great, I hope he's right. In the meantime, it's time for a hippo attack. Man, hippos look so cute, but they are not to be messed with. A second plane gets shot down, but I don't think they have the plot armor the first crew did. Well, second crew. The first crew got mauled to death by pissed off gorillas. Or at least I think they did. It's been over an hour and not a single monster gorilla has shown up. You know, the gorillas the trailers told me this movie was supposed to be about? They continue with their trek, now following the talking gorilla, which is not something I thought I'd ever say. They find the shot down plane and it turns out to be another expedition sent by Karen's company. What kind of insurance does this company have that they can keep sending off people to get killed? Whether they find these flawless diamonds or not, there's gonna be lawsuits out the ass. They run into some normal gorillas, which I think look a little bit better than Amy, but not really.
Hello, I'm Amy.
Well, as a great Canadian once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, well, at least she tried. The group keeps moving and lo and behold, the city of Zinj. I guess Tim Curry wasn't making it up. Now they're gonna be loaded with diamonds. Okay, dead meats, you stay out here. The main characters are heading inside.
Oh, Richard! Oh my God, something!
Finally, at the 1 hour and 16 minute mark, we finally get our murderous gorillas. The thing I had been waiting the entire movie for, and as a 9-year-old, it did not disappoint. The gorilla comes running down and throws a head at the group, though for years I thought it threw the guy's heart. I guess on VHS rental it's a little harder to see, but looking back that would be one huge heart. You know, Amy definitely knew what was up. Sure would help if she was able to communicate this to the group somehow, but I have no idea how she'd be able to do that. This next scene was one of my favorites of the movie. The group sets up a perimeter with gun turrets and tripwires, which feels very much like Aliens and Predator. This was the same year my father showed me the Alien and Predator movies, so this definitely scratched that itch. The group continues to push further and discovers the apes were bred by humans to be more aggressive, until eventually the gorillas turned on their masters. This is why you don't teach gorillas shit. In the novel, they're apparently a crossbreed of gorillas, chimpanzees, and humans. But I'm not going to pretend like I read the novel. We all know I can't read. The group picked a horrible time for an expedition because it looks like the volcano is about to erupt. You'd think they would have scouted the area before leaving, you know, just in case something like that happened. The group then finds themselves inside the mine and look at all these diamonds. I don't know much about diamonds, but I'd say these guys hit the jackpot. The movie then kicks into overdrive because we're nearing the end, but we only just met the spooky gorillas. Oh hey, it's Bruce. Peter almost gets killed until Amy shows up and confuses all the gray gorillas. Like, they don't know what to make of her, and it's so stupid. You know, I've mentioned a few things I like about this movie, like Ernie Hudson, Bruce Campbell, the spooky gorillas, but it's the badass laser that is really the cherry on top.
We are. What about them?
Put him on the endangered species list.
Yeah, screw these wonders of nature, we've got lasers. Though seriously, if you've got a movie that features Ernie Hudson and a high-powered laser weapon, he really is the only one qualified enough to use it. The volcano starts exploding and this prompts the gorillas to start performing cannonballs for some reason. I would just like to point out that the gorillas were in the movie for 16 minutes. The heroes outrun an erupting volcano, Karen blows up her boss's satellite, and Amy is reunited with normal gorillas so she can teach them sign language and begin their conquest of Earth. What a terrible yet entertaining movie. Michael Crichton originally developed Congo as a project for Sean Connery, inspired by their work on the first great train robbery in 1978. He envisioned it as a modern take on King Solomon's Mines, with Connery playing a character similar to Alan Quatermain. However, Crichton's insistence on using a real gorilla for Amy delayed the project for over a decade, because how the hell could you train a gorilla to do anything the script called for? Crichton pitched the film to 20th Century Fox in 1979, before the story was even fully developed. When it became clear a real gorilla couldn't be used, Crichton left the project. The project then passed through several directors, including Steven Spielberg and John Carpenter, before Frank Marshall took over with little involvement from Crichton. The teaser trailer listed Crichton and Shanley as co-writers, but the final film credited Shanley alone. Executive producer Frank Yablans was involved from the start, acquiring the film rights for $1.5 million before the novel was even published. The technology to create realistic apes wasn't available then, so the film stalled. After Jurassic Park's success in 1993, Crichton and every Star Wars fan's favorite Kathleen Kennedy suggested bringing back Stan Winston's studio for the apes, leading to renewed production under Frank Marshall. Frank Marshall planned to use Jurassic Park CGI techniques, but switched to physical since computers at the time couldn't do hair convincingly. Notably, the lava effects at the end of the film were created using miniatures and not CGI. For Winston, Congo was a chance to prove his skill at creating gorillas, traditionally Rick Baker's specialty. The main performer, Lauren No, was life cast to create Amy's silicone-covered suit and animatronic head, a pioneering use of silicone for realistic skin. 12 unique mutant gray gorillas were also created, each with imaginative features like skin lesions and fused fingers, but poor lighting and bare mindsets reduced their on-screen impact. If you're gonna make creepy looking apes, you need to keep them in the shadow or darkness. Full bright light always makes monsters look kinda silly. Congo's teaser premiered in theaters alongside Star Trek Generations in 1994 and was heavily promoted by partners like Taco Bell and Pepsi. And like I mentioned earlier, Taco Bell went all in with its promotion. I miss when fast food joints promoted movies like this. The film opened strongly at $24.6 million, topping the US box office before being surpassed by Batman Forever. It grossed over $81 million domestically and $152 million worldwide on a $50 million budget. Critical reception was mixed to negative. Mostly negative. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars, appreciating it as a throwback to classic jungle adventure films. The movie received 7 Golden Raspberry Award nominations but won none. Considering Congo was up against Showgirls, it really is no surprise that it didn't win. While Amy's awkward talking gorilla was criticized, both Ernie Hudson and Tim Curry received praise. I'm actually a little shocked Tim Curry got the reception he did, considering his very odd choice for an accent. Michael Crichton was also a bit of a programming nerd, creating a Congo video game in the early 1980s for the Apple II. However, he just plumb forgot he sold the rights to someone else, so he had to make a few changes. The Diamond Mine became an Emerald Mine, Africa became South America, and Amy the Talking Gorilla became Paco the Talking Parrot. The game would go on to be a bestseller for its developers, selling over 100,000 copies. After the release of the film, a few more games came out or were in the works. A very primitive first-person shooter or Doom clone called Congo: The Lost City of Zinj came out for the Sega Saturn, which looks like ass if I'm being honest. There were also Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games in the works, but they were scrapped early on. There was also Congo Descent into Zinj, which was a point-and-click game for the PC, but again, it doesn't look like anything all that interesting. Congo is definitely a mixed bag. When I first saw it, I was pretty into it. But seriously, where were the monster apes? That was the main reason I wanted to watch it. Just a few years earlier, Jurassic Park managed to terrify and captivate, and with some of the same people involved, I was expecting more of that. Maybe I set my expectations a little too high, but hey, I was 9 years old. And honestly, can you blame me? The trailers leaned so hard into the murderous gorillas. There's something oddly nostalgic about Congo, and even though it's not a great movie, it's definitely entertaining. It's more of a straightforward adventure flick than the horror movie I'd hoped for. Still, the gorillas can be pretty scary at times, and there's actually a surprising amount of blood and gore for a PG-13 movie. I might sound like I'm coming down on it a bit, but I really do love this movie. It's a dumb, fun roller coaster you can just sit back and enjoy. You don't have to worry about anything or think too hard. In fact, it's probably better if you don't. Just laugh at Amy, scream at the gray gorillas, and have a good time. But enough about me. What do you think about Congo? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great one, and as always, stay spooky.
Amy, star of the hit movie Congo, is here to introduce the new Congo bonus box from Blockbuster Video. It's full of candy, snacks, coupons, and more. All kinds of goodies. Just rent 3 videos from Blockbuster and you get the Congo bonus box absolutely free. So drop by Blockbuster Video and get your free Congo bonus box. But you better hurry. They're going fast.